Hey everyone, this is Fran from highandhealth.org. Today I have a very, very special guest with me on call. I have Dr. Neal Schwarz from the Acne practice. You may be familiar with his videos on YouTube, which are absolutely amazing. He has some fantastic testimonials from these videos of people that have severe acne, and he manages to do a fantastic job at clearing their skin. So thank you, Dr. Neal, for joining me on this call today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for calling.
I'd like to just start with your story, actually. Like, have you had acne yourself, and why did you get into this field of work to begin with?
I think the acne stories are similar from other people and myself. For me, it started at probably my junior year of high school, started to really kick up where I noticed it. And I had access to a lot of topical medications. I remember going to the pharmacy and picking up the new cream that came out every 3 months. That even back then, like back in the 80s, I guess there was, or the early 90s, there was creams coming out every couple months, and I would always have the new one, and I would always work it. It would always help a little bit, and then it would lose its power, or just the acne was getting worse, and it was a constant battle and a constant semi-losing battle for a long time. Went to many dermatologists. My father's an internist, he's a physician, and my mother's an acupuncturist, and I had access to all the dermatologists in my father's hospital, and I was able to ask them casual questions. I was able to go to them for consults. They could look at it, they could touch my skin at will. They were actually giving me a VIP treatment because my father referred them patients, so they were looking after me in a very customized way. And I still was failing with all the typical retin-A, retinoids, benzoyl peroxides. Some of the glycolic acids at the time were popular. And my skin was pretty sensitive. And I just ended up finally, after, it wasn't until college where I finally just decided I couldn't hack it anymore. I had to do Accutane. My roommate at that time had done Accutane, and his skin was amazing, and I was just jealous, and I got on Accutane, and I believe must have been by my second year of college or third. I was 21 probably, so my skin was amazing for about a year, and the oiliness was way down, and then it kind of just slowly. My dermatologist referred to Accutane as a fine wine. It kind of, you take it as it's there and you enjoy it because it's not, he knew that it wouldn't always work as well for someone like me, and I kind of just enjoyed it while it was really good, and then it slowly came back, and I just went back to battle with every possible topical. My energy's pretty high, so, and I'm a fighter, so I was fighting it tooth and nail. I would do things in the morning before going to class. I would do things coming home. I'd do things in between. I would put at least from age 22 to forever, really. I would put at least a good 2 to 3 hours of thought and action into my skin every day for decades.
Wow.
I guess the story continues. Then I was in my mid to late 20s, just doing my thing, just battling it. I mean, there's two ways to battle, and this is the way I explain it to my patients now, is the same way I look back on my own story, is there's two ways to battle acne. There's one way where your face is covered in acne, and you're battling, and you're still losing a horrible battle, yet you're still putting a ton of effort into it. And that's a horrible situation. Or what I was doing back then is not everyone knew I had a horrible acne problem. It would just kind of creep past my defenses, and then sometimes I would get it in semi-control. And so either way I was battling, but in my case I was able to, I'd say, keep up with it about 90%, but it was even the 10 to 20% when it was out of control was enough to fully upset me because of how much effort I was putting in. And it's the combination of the heavy effort and the loss, which makes you feel, if you're very competitive and a very goal-oriented person, it makes you feel like you're out of control, and you just feel like you cannot win. And in the feeling of not winning, is as bad as the feeling of having acne. So you end up in a very frustrating situation if you're highly motivated, almost worse than if you just let it go.
I know that feeling well, yeah.
Yeah, and I certainly wasn't going to let it go, which is probably stressing me out worse and probably made it probably worse. But that's the tenacity that I had at the time, and now I was into bodybuilding too. So, I was trying to work, and I had been an athlete my whole life. I was a skateboarder. I did everything physical and always had control of my body through pure energy. And so when you come from a place of energy and motivation and working smart and working hard gets you what you need, and then there's this one thing, this acne thing, that it has no response whatsoever to the hard you work, and even maybe if you work too hard, you do worse. So it was certainly, relative to my other successes in life, physically, it was much more challenging. I guess the story continues, huh? Then, that's late 20s. I'm turning 34 this summer. Then it was actually just through pure brute force. Over the years, I was getting a little better at dealing with I was horribly oily. The whole time from age. I've been oily. I didn't even know what oily was. Sometimes it's like an oily consciousness. You're running around with oil on your face, you don't even know. But I was oily from age 17 to, I still would be now if I wasn't in control of it now, but I'm oily. I plan to be oily for life. I'm an oily bohunk, whatever, greasy. It just, that is the way it's going to be unless something magical happens. But something bad happened in my mid-late 20s that made the whole condition much more difficult. After the and this, I've seen this with several patients. This is really common. But it's much more difficult than a typical situation. After you take Accutane, some people who are oily and have sensitive skin to begin with, after they take Accutane, their skin becomes ridiculously sensitive to the point where they can't use cleanser soaps or wash their face at all, sometimes even with water. And this happened to me as well. And not just happened, but this became the state of my skin for a decade. And it made the whole battle of acne I would say about 20 times more tricky, because now if I didn't wash my face, I was covered in oil, and if I did wash my face, I would turn red like a tomato. And this is actually the reason, because of this experience and others who have come to me for this same problem, and you'll even see I have a special kit for this problem because I had to grind through this problem as well, but this is actually the main reason I tell people to avoid Accutane. I mean, the people are very scared of Accutane for the lethal risks and the joint pains and your joints drying up and your hair falling out. But I believe the common problem of a new skin problem can be one of the main reasons I tell people to avoid it. It's scary. So I was coming through my late 20s with this sensitivity problem, and it turns out to be diagnosed as seborrheic dermatitis, but really at that time it didn't really matter what it was called. What it was called to me was my face was covered in oil, thickened skin. I was aging prematurely on my face from all the inflammation, as some people have experienced. Just having an inflamed face it just causes wear and tear. It starts to beat you up a little bit. And still having acne, but eventually my new frustration became this new redness, sensitivity, oiliness, became now the primary emotional problem, because I could not get comfortable. The sun would hit your face, you can't get comfortable. The cold would hit your face, you can't get comfortable. When anyone with an oily face who's listening to this knows that they cannot get their face comfortable, and even worse, if they can't use a cleanser to get rid of that oil, or even soap, or even a shower, they're in trouble. They're kind of stuck. It's very difficult. And a lot of people have it. They call it seborrheic dermatitis, but